Good news is that the COVID vaccine will be available for everyone 18 years old and up from tomorrow. The reality is the sooner we all get vaccinated, the quicker we can start opening up our economy, travel and tourism. Currently, South Africa remains on the United Kingdom's red list for COVID. The tourism business should be a key pillar of our economy, but due to COVID, it's hanging on by a thread. Let's find out what the latest news on the vaccines could do to open up the industry. I'm joined now by Tshifhiwa Tshivhengwa, CEO of the Tourism Business Council of South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us. So talk to me, what difference will the availability of the vaccine for all adults in South Africa mean for tourism?
Well, thank you for having me. I think it is a good day to have this announcement that says that the 18 plus can also register and get vaccinated. We have been saying for quite some time that for us to go back to some level of normal, within the travel and tourism, within hospitality, nightclubs and many other places, we need to be vaccinated, because we cannot continue with the situation that we are in at the moment, whereas when there is a wave, we close down and people lose their jobs and businesses close. We now have a chance to really, put business back on track by way of vaccinating. We have seen what's happening overseas. Many countries are opening up. And for us to open up, including events, sports, we need to get to that point where we can say, we have seen the proof that this vaccine could work to our advantage in terms of going back to normal. Otherwise, we will be having waves after waves. And we are delighted that now we are open for 18 plus years. It means tourism can start to go back to some level of recovery, because right now we're barely surviving.
I'm sure. We know from Professor Salim Abdul Karim speaking to this program last night, and also the Western Cape talking today, they reckon the fourth wave is likely early December. If we are sufficiently vaccinated, do you think that we're going to see a fairly usual summer season, the beaches staying open, etc., etc.?
Well, that's what we want to see from the tourism point of view, and I'm sure that's what many people want to see. We're all tired of sitting in our houses. We want to be out, we want to enjoy the beaches, we want to enjoy the nature reserves, the parks, and everywhere else that we spend our holidays relaxing. So if we all adopt a situation whereby, we get vaccinated, we should see when the fourth wave comes, we may be able to see less people going to hospitals. And with less people going to hospitals, it means that we're not going to have a burden in hospital, and therefore we're not going to have these types of lockdown that we've seen for the past 16, 17 months. But if we don't get vaccinated, we're going to see the same level of hospital capacity being reached, lack of oxygen, and many other things that the guys that work within the health department or within the health industry are seeing within the hospitals. And we're going to see the same effects that we've seen on the economy, especially for us in the tourism sector. So in order for all of us to get out of this situation, we have to seek the solution that the scientists that we have educated in our schools here and abroad, we've come up with this vaccine, saying that this is a way to get out of this situation, and we need to get out of this situation. And we do hope that there is a huge uptake, especially for us in the tourism industry. I would love to see the entire value chain of tourism being vaccinated, being ready to welcome international guests and domestic guests, and also to have some level of activities that will return us to some recovery, come December, because our recovery is going to take a long time. And if we miss this festive season, it's even going to take longer, and even more businesses are going to be closing, more people are going to lose their jobs, and it's going to have a huge impact on poverty and many people that are going to be sitting at home without jobs. So we've got to look at this as a chance to get more people back at work and the society to function again.
And also, I suppose, for the consumers, if you want a holiday at the end of the year, you've got to start first by getting your COVID-19 vaccine. I want to talk to you a little bit about how the industry has had to adapt. Many of us now, when planning any sort of holiday, we look at the conditions for cancellation and postponement. So first of all, has the industry adapted really well to accommodating consumers so they're not afraid to make those bookings in the first place? That's one question. And then the second question is, now that vaccines are available to all adults, do you expect that more and more hotels, resorts will start putting in place, you are welcome if you've been vaccinated?
Well, to answer the first question is that we've had to adapt because of the supply and demand. And the fact that South Africa is still, in a restriction list by many of our source markets. So we had to adapt. Prices have changed, and the cancellation policies have changed. It's more flexibility. It's not ideal for our business because there's a lot of efforts that goes into it before someone arrives at a destination or at a hotel. There's more people that work on the background to prepare. So, when you have someone cancelling at the last minute, it does have an impact. But we had to adapt to make sure that the wheels of the value chain keep moving, and we have, a few people that can be able to go back to work. So we have adapted. We have molded our business plans to make sure that we accommodate all types of travelers, and the price have changed largely, and I do think that is an opportunity for us here at home to travel and explore places that we haven't explored and we couldn't explore in the past. Now, when it comes to your second question in terms of, you're welcome if you are vaccinated, this is something that we need to discuss as a country. It is an issue that requires a policy because we are now talking about a situation where the right to enter has been reserved on the basis of the vaccination status. And I think that it is an urgent matter, and we've raised this issue through various channels, including NEDLEC, to say we need to start to talk about how do we make sure that the vaccine cards that we have as a card can be digitalized in a way that there could be verification if we get to a point where someone is required to show that they are vaccinated when they enter a certain premises. I do think that the world is moving into that, and I do foresee that we here at home, we need to discuss this urgently. We need to come to a solution, and we need to be aligned in terms of how do we want to handle sporting events. Everyone wants to go to a sporting event. Everyone
Absolutely.
wants to go on holiday.
You've just raised such raised such a crucial issue about how do we prove we've been vaccinated. Currently, many of us with our jabs are wandering around with a piece of cardboard that says we've been vaccinated. Those of us on private medical scheme, it's probably in our records. Who would it fall to make sure that we can prove it? Would it be through Home Affairs, a stamp on our passport? Have those discussions actually taken place? Because there's quite a lot of concern that you might have had the jab, but if you lose your card or you didn't get your card at the time, there's no way of proving. Are those discussions at an advanced level?
No, absolutely. We are discussing these issues because we have to. And you're quite right. Having a card is one thing, but if you are going to travel out of the country and going to, maybe Germany or anywhere else, they may say to you, well, we don't recognize your card. You need to show us something that's digital that proves that you indeed have been vaccinated. So we are working on that to make sure that both for outbound travel and for inbound travel, and for us here at home when we want to go to different places, we're able to show that, we have been vaccinated through a digital platform. So those are the kinds of discussions that we're having. They are not easy because, there may be constitutional implications in terms of people being, told to vaccinate before they go to a game. But we need to get to a reality that as a society, we've got to move to a level where, the threat of COVID-19 is minimized to such a point that we are able to move around and go about our business. Otherwise, our lives are going to be like this for a very, very long time. And I don't think it's a desirable situation as we see it at the moment.
And I think you're absolutely right. And if we're not prepared to put those rules in place here in South Africa, certainly the rest of the world is putting those rules in place for us. We're still on the red list in the United Kingdom. We're still clearly seen as a country that hasn't sorted itself out regarding COVID. Yes, there are lots of arguments about why is Africa seen that way, but the reality is we are going to have to address and tackle those issues. And I want to thank you so much for chatting to us this evening. Such important points that you have raised. Tshifhiwa Tshivhengwa, CEO of the Tourism Business Council of South Africa.